Hey, how are you guys?
There he is. There he is. How's it going,
I,
Harlan?
I am here. Hey, it's going. Pops and drops.
Yeah.
Pops to fade? Are you playing? Are you fading some of these pops?
Well, it's kind of like what you said a little while ago. It used to be they'd pop and then they fade. Well, now they're not even popping.
They're
So
just
that's
dropping.
yeah. It seems like it. It seems like it. Walmart's going to be interesting. I mean, you look at those highs, retest of the highs. How much further is it going? So that would be one. If it pops, on the earnings, all right, great. Maybe you sell it short, get yourself a quick scalp because it doesn't have a lot of scale. So, trend channel,
Such a big
support.
company too. It's just so hard for
I
a company
know.
like Walmart to, go up $5 or $6 or anything like that. A big move for this
Well,
is a buck. It's just a cash cow, and it trades like a cash
exactly.
cow.
Do you
Yeah,
have do
yeah.
you have
So,
stocks that like a Walmart? I mean, do you have stocks in a category where if you see them trade like Merck? I think is just another really good example that just based on the volume that they trade and their standard deviations for their ranges. Do you have some stocks that you just found that if they move like a buck and a quarter in the pre-market, and not that much volume that they're just automatic scalp shorts for you?
well, it's going to be in the very short term here. Everything is a scalp short. I mean, look at like you were showing Yahoo, and that thing is if you're an investor, more of a longer term or even a swing trader, that thing's just chewing you alive right here. But look at the swings. You get a point here, a point there, so that's the trend of that particular issue. So Merck, I'm just looking at the overall chart since first of the year and nice uptrend, bam, broke into a new high, topped out, broke below the 50-day. And, maybe this is a bear channel building in it.
What would
Um,
make you, what make you bullish on Merck?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
just
you don't
not
like
seeing
Merck.
anything. Well, I'm just not seeing the pattern. It's like we talked about. I
Yeah.
mean, if you got to squint to see it, it's just really not there. But you look at Walmart and you can say, hey, here's a little mini double top here, on this run off of its recent lows. But then, you got a reactionary earnings event showing up, and maybe they pop it. But how much further is it really going to go? I mean, look at the S&P 500. We've been talking about, geez, what, 2-3 weeks now, Dennis?
Yeah.
That hey, watch for a breakout into a new high, and they're probably going to fade it. What's
Yeah.
your upside on the S&P 500 here? So your upside on the S&P, if you line up your tops since first of the year, maybe 915-ish, 910. But you're sitting at 900. So what is that? The way this market trades, that's one gap up day away. And then they'll probably fade it anyway. But then there's support on that thing. If you line up your lows, the 1850 lows with the 1860, that's your line in the sand. You could say that whole piece, it's like a bear channel building. So, and then you go on to the NASDAQ 100, and, it's still, I don't know, it's just not looking all that great. I look at the NASDAQ 100, and I see big picture. I see same thing here, bear channel building. You got your big, off of your March highs, big slam down. That's your first thrust down. And here it is snapping back, off of the last, for about a month now. So it's a real, it's a market that there's still some issues. And that's probably why you're still seeing, a lot of strengths getting sold. And now it's just, they're just outright selling, like SodaStream and GLOG. What was another one? Who's the other one that got hit pretty hard today? Fossil.
Right.
Fossil's getting
Yep.
smacked
Yep.
around, yeah.
So, I'm not really overly excited about a lot of upside in here. Maybe we can pull back and digest some of this gains, and look at support levels and see if you get a nice reaction off of them. Then there's some names that you can start to walk through. But, back in the, I'd have to say around 2000, when you had, what was your phrase, Dennis? The human touch, if you will, versus the computer touch.
Yeah.
We are seeing some names that, this could be considered your first intermediate term correction. When I say that, I'm talking about the NASDAQ because it's a tale of two tapes. There's a lot of names out there that have came down, hit the 200 day, and they've been backing and filling ever since. And that could be base building, and for you cup and handle fans, could be the bottom of a cup building, and it's going to take some time with those names.
Could you take a look
So
at
it's really a split market.
Yeah, could you take a look at FSL? That's Free Scale Semiconductor shares here. J. Dot popping into the chat with this one, and I think what Harlan's going to say is you had the big drop here, and now you're just finding some major resistance under the $22 level. Did close up near the highs, but for me to be convinced that this thing was going back up to the highs, got to get back above 22 here. And really good support. This is kind of a tight trading thing, 2177. Oh, my Lord, look at this. Look at all these lows. Am I looking at the right chart here?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
No, this has been on my list, actually. I've been watching this name for a couple of weeks.
Okay, go ahead, Harlan.
Anytime you see a stock get a big slam down or a big, gap up or a big move up, you let the reactionary dust settle, and then you get to see what the real action is on the stock. And, I was hoping this name would have put in a bear channel here, by snapping back off those lows a little bit. It just hasn't. It's just dead in the water here. Now, that being said, after stocks make moves, they digest those gains, they consolidate those gains, and they do it two ways. They either pull back, like when you have a stock that just gaps up really hard, they'll either pull back and then make another run. The pullback is the digestion of gains. Or they digest sideways through time. So it's either price or time. This one obviously is digesting that drop via time. So, if you're one who uses support and resistance on a short-term basis, line up your lows, a break to the downside, that's a short sell. Line up your highs here since the drop, break over, that's a break out of resistance, and old resistance will tend to become new support, and maybe it goes on a run.
Yeah, I'm looking on a
right
24th. I'm looking on a 24th when it had that real bad day. It came out and it had well, actually the earnings came out at after the close, and the bad day was actually the 25th, excuse me, and they beat that day. They beat by 3 cents. They had better revenues. Okay, they beat the street. They beat it by 3 cents. Sales were up. Revenues came in better, and they pounded the stock.
Yeah, pounding on good
Well,
earnings.
it's kind of like, I think, was it Brentster that said it? Up is down and down is up. We've been seeing stocks with really good numbers and things of that, and guiding higher and everything. When you're in a market that's in an uptrending market above the 50-day moving average, like the NASDAQ was in March, any word of guiding higher and it's gone to the upside. Well, we're not seeing that now. That's a correctionary climate. So, when I look at things like this, I would have liked to seen it bounce on that, but the fact that it's not bouncing on that news ought to tell you something too. Action sometimes does speak louder than words.
Yeah, I think when I see this, I was going to say, Harlan, I kind of agree with you. I love the way you're using the analogy, the digestion and digesting over time. And I feel like when I see that time digestion, when you see a huge move, and let's say in this example it's down, and then you have the time digestion where the bulls and the bears are battling it out. You got the bottom pickers coming in, but you got the people that are still not liking the stock selling it. And I like the way you say if it, cuts through those lows, it's a sell. If it cuts through those highs, it's a potential buy. So that's the trade for sure. But a lot of times what I think happens in these situations, you get a big down move, you have the digestion, and then a lot of times a continuation of that original move. So if I had to guess, I think the next move would be to the downside, but you're right. You're absolutely right. Don't make that trade until you kind of know where it starts breaking down to new lows. That's the time to execute.
Well, exactly. And even if it does break higher, look at the scale of this thing. How much are you really going to get?
Yeah.
You've got overhead supply at what, 23-ish? So, I mean,
Yep.
how much upside really is there? But let's look at the downside. You're right. Stocks tend to trade in the direction that they make their breaks. And obviously, if this one broke to the downside, a continuation. This is just a digestion of the gains on the short side. One can look at it that way.
Yeah.
So, but look at how much downside you've got. Where is that? 18?
Well,
so you really want to take the trade if it breaks to the upside, knowing your upside is maybe a point or two, but yet, look at your downside trade. Where's support? 18. That's a lot better than your 1 point up in a questionable issue.
Yeah, I think
so
if
I'd
you're
be looking for the break to the downside.
Yeah, if you're looking for an exact level too to identify the move, you had the low last week at 2091. Now you're getting a little bit of a bounce here. Back in the end of February, you hit 2088. Now that time that it hit 28, it was enough to give it a bounce to move up to $26. Here you hit the 2091 yesterday. You had a continuation, but here you can't even settle back over $22. So, looks like I have to agree with you. It looks like it's kind of
Go ahead.
I just think it's kind of leaning towards heading back down and testing that support again.
Right. And if you are short and it does go to 18, you know what you got to do down in that zone. That support. So don't expect anything real big, anything lower than tag and support. So, for right now, I guess to sum it up, it's help. I've fallen and I can't get up.
Okay.
That's pretty much where it falls. And then the other thing that's interesting to note is look at those tails. When it was trying to bust over 24, look at those tails. It just constantly got turned back every single day almost. So that's another, shows you that strength is getting sold. So what else we got out there?
Johnny Spangler from the chat is asking about two stocks. He's asking about your opinion on ExxonMobil and your opinion on Caterpillar. And Caterpillar made a new high yesterday, although be that just because of this erroneous guy who sent the orders with 10 minutes to go and had the oopsies there. But Cat made a new, I believe that's an all-time high actually for Cat. Oh no, I got to strike my, 2012 was higher. But it's a new 52-week high there for Caterpillar, at least on that erroneous trade.
Well, look at the recent peaks. I mean, you could say, two reactionary spikes up here could be a double top in the making.
You got to take out that. You got to take out that print from yesterday. I mean, that was erroneous. Just alert 107.43. How high did you get yesterday? Yesterday, you
108. It got on that spike 108.21 when the guy sent that oopsie $11 million market order into the market. It spiked Caterpillar buck.
Put that in your dictionary. Oops.
The oops trade. There you go. We'll add the oops to the dictionary.
I can't complain because off of the March 17th lows, what's it doing? Higher highs and higher lows. But there comes a point in time where you're going to put in a topping pattern, and maybe the oops trade was your double top. I don't know. My concern is that if the S&P is so close to major resistance, and this obviously the S&P is bigger cap, this falls into that realm. Is this going to be one of those names that those who haven't gotten it yet are going to get it? So that would be my concern with any higher upside. But as long as it's in a clearly defined uptrend, line up your lows, then I guess if you're an investor, you stay with it.
Yeah, keep an eye on 107.41, or 107.40, excuse me. That was yesterday's high. And then, if you want to let this thing go on weakness here, you did have a little bit of, not great numbers out of Deere, but keep an eye on it. It's a buck lower from here, Johnny Spangler. But the lows from Monday and Tuesday are pretty darn close to each other for a $100 stock. 105.65 was the high on Monday, 105.82 your high on Tuesday. Break below those levels, and you could be seeing yourself down in the lower 104s.
He's saying, should he take half the gains? I mean, we can't advise you, obviously, on this show.
Right.
But at the same time, I always like to, if I'm sitting in a stock and sitting on some pretty good gains, I'm unsure of what to do. Sometimes I like to do that. I take half the gains. What do you do, Harlan? Do you ever lighten up a position?
Well, of course. Of course, because you always have to ring the register because trading is a business. And you obviously have to lock those gains because the other side of the coin is there are going to be times where you're going to take losses. And whenever you kind of lock some of those gains along the way, they offset those oops ones that you picked off. So it's just a good money management style. So, you've ultimately with every stock, you've got three choices. You can hold, you can sell it off, or you can do the happy medium and get out of half. And if the stock keeps going, well, guess what? At least you still have some. But if the stock falls apart, well, at least you sold some at a higher price. So it really comes down to personal choice as to who you are as a trader, investor, and, what you choose to be from that perspective. So all of them are right. We're all doomed to make decisions, right, guys?
Yeah, a couple interesting charts here. Fonar Corporation here. Rock is coming in with this stock, and it fell and it has gotten up, found some good support at the $15 level. Then it's had a 2-day, 3-day sprint that's taken up to 17.23. I mean, it's that $18 level is standing out like a sore thumb here. Just a long period of above 18. I would really get excited about this stock. Harlan, what's your take on this long consolidation?
Well,
in
I think you nailed it. The moment I pulled up this chart, I just went right to the last since April.
Yep.
Everything since April, and you can clearly see 15 on the low side, 18 on the high side. And this is what I mean. Some stocks are sorting themselves out. They're base building. They're trying to put in some chart time. And how long is that going to last? Well, nobody knows the answer to that. But right now, what we do know is here's a stock that is base building between 15 and 18. If it breaks out of 18 right here, it'd be nice if it would tighten up here. 3-4 days of just banging its head on that ceiling would be healthy. Pent-up energy just can't do it, and then all of a sudden, like the little train that could. But ultimately, if it breaks through after banging its head on this 18-ish zone, then, and that's also the 50-day, by the way, then maybe it could take a little bit of a run. But for right now, I have to call this base building. Nothing else. That's really all I can say about it. So, and if it's going to make a move, it's got to bust over the 50-day and this recent peaks here. But, we have a market climate that's a little bit dicey / sorting it all out. So, do you trust it if it does break out? So for right now, I think you just keep it on your watch list. Remember, it is base building, and the rule of thumbs with bases is bigger the base, bigger the break.
Okay, Harlan, here's a good one for you. Kind of an opposite pattern here. Whole Foods. Maybe they should call it Half Foods because this stock has just been getting whacked here. Oh, my Lord, look at this chart. But now, how do you interpret this consolidation here?
Dead money. I just kind of look at it this way. Look, if I drop you out of a 10-story building, are you going to get up and walk away right away?
You use that one all the time, Harlan. You're so graphic.
I know I do, because it works.
It's a good one. I like that one. I don't remember hearing that one. I must be. It's a good one.
Yeah.
And go look at other names. Go look at a lot of names as you do your scans. You just stroll through chart after chart after chart. Look at the names that get beat up like this. Sometimes you get a reactionary bounce until the guy finds out he just fell out of a 10-story building, and then he comes right back down. But generally speaking, when they're done like this and they get hit like this, they just sit there and they got to build all new bases.
Yeah.
Or they continue to drift lower.
True. Yeah, exactly.
$40, man. That's what jumps out at me here. A couple times we cannot get through this. I can't see being any interested in this alongside until I can at least break through 40. But man, this is one of those where you've had 4 or 5 days of digestion after the being dropped from the 10-story building, and I don't know. I tend to think that this could start drifting down here again too. In my opinion, those pyramid of apples has lost its luster.
Pretty much. And then even if it does, back and fill in here, look at the range. What do you got? 2-point range here? So, there's other fish to fry in better areas. So for now, earnings came out. Obviously, they didn't like it, and it's pretty much dead money.
Harlan, final thoughts on
There's better places to be.
thoughts on the market here for all the
What
traders and
market?
investors. The S&P futures, the market, the
Well,
overall market.
I'm looking at it's still like I'm in the same camp as Dennis, and I've been this way for a few weeks. And that is, you break into a new high, maybe you got a little bit more upside. It is options expiration week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, maybe you sit up here and you chew around for that options expiration. And don't the index options expire tomorrow as of the close?
Friday. Friday. Today's only Wednesday, Harlan. I think.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Next month, the roll on the futures is June. So.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
All right, Harlan, thanks. We got some good stocks out of the chat room. Harlan Pyan, all about trends, giving us his take on the market. Also, I just want to thank you, Harlan, for popping in the chat room earlier in the week and throwing out some tickers for us to look at. Your analysis is always appreciated. And have a good rest of the week, and we'll check in with you next Wednesday.
You too, guys. Take care. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Harlan.